All right, thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. Just want to bring you some of the top stories that we're following right now, and we begin with a house fire that happened in East Point. So you can see from this video captured by our photographers on the scene that the roof there collapsed. So this is really just what's left. It happened on Laurel Ridge Circle, and uh, very severe damage to this home. As you can see, the roof is gone. There are charred edges to the windows. The windows are burned out. The lower roof, kind of to the porch, is also completely destroyed as well. The relief here is that everyone made it out safely. So no injuries to report, no deaths to report. So that's really what everyone is grateful for. We are hearing from officials that they are very concerned, however, because they think that it's possible that the home may collapse. So, they've been very kind of tentative in fighting this fire. I should say very careful in fighting this fire, working to put out the flames to avoid that it actually collapses. But it is a story we're going to continue to follow here on Atlanta News First, Atlanta News First Plus. And as always, you can get updates sent right to your phone with our digital news app. Another one of the top stories that we are following as well, really an unfortunate death involving an Atlanta police officer. So the department is saying that this officer was found dead last night inside of his personal vehicle just before his shift, and apparently had some sort of medical emergency. The officer's identity and the cause of death have not been released at this time. It's still, again, very early, and the investigation still underway, and obviously the family would need to be notified before it is shared with the public and on the news and so forth. But the timing is, really just making matters worse for the law enforcement community, because this is the third officer that we've lost in our area within just the last week. This one certainly taking the department very much by surprise as well. I mentioned this is the third officer. Remember, Spalding County mourning the death of a deputy there, and happening today, so many people gathering to remember the life of this fallen sheriff's deputy who was shot and killed in the line of duty last week. And there is a procession taking place today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton. My colleague, Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm, has more.
We are expecting a large presence of law enforcement officers from many agencies to gather first here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where you see the flag flying at half staff. From here, they're going to travel south into neighboring Spalding County for the memorial service. We're also expecting a lot of families from both counties to come out and position themselves along the route as a way to show their support for colleagues and loved ones of Sergeant Mark McIntyre. The 55-year-old was killed by a shotgun blast 1 week ago today when he and a fellow deputy responded to a disturbance at a home in Griffin. The suspected shooter, Todd Lamont Harper, was arrested and charged with murder. Sergeant McIntyre was a native of New York. Before he joined the Spalding County Sheriff's Office, he was in the U.S. Army and spent time in Iraq. Earlier this week, we were in downtown Griffin and we stopped in for a fundraiser for McIntyre's family.
We have heard some amazing stories. I never had the honor of meeting him, but I feel like I know him after hearing everybody's stories. Having everybody just rally together in support. I can't imagine how the family feels, but I do hope that that gives them a little bit of comfort knowing that he was so loved.
Today's service for Sergeant Mark McIntyre will be held at Griffin First Assembly of God. Visitation begins at 10:30. The procession, if you'd like to help line the street to show your support, that'll happen at about 11 o'clock, and the memorial service begins at 1. There's no graveside service, according to the family. We will be streaming everything as it happens on Atlanta News First Plus and on our free app. In Henry County, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
And again, as Rebecca mentioned, the service for Sergeant Mark McIntyre will be held at Griffin First Assembly of God. Visitation beginning a short time from now at 10:30, and the procession, if you'd like to show your support lining the street, or if you want to watch the procession, that will happen at 11 o'clock. The memorial service begins at 1 o'clock. There is no graveside service according to the family, but of course you can turn to us here on Atlanta News First Plus for your complete coverage of the remembrances for this fallen Spalding County deputy. You know, really such a tragic week it has been for our law enforcement community. Another law enforcement officer, a third law enforcement officer being remembered this morning as well. We now know the funeral arrangements for a Coweta County deputy who was killed trying to make the streets safer, Deputy Eric Minix. Coweta County Sheriff Len Wood says that Deputy Minix was chasing a stolen car early Thursday morning, and that chase went into Chambers County, Alabama, and that's where other departments joined in, and they deployed stop sticks. When Deputy Minix got out of his vehicle to assist, the sheriff says that he was struck, and he was ultimately killed by a Lynette, Alabama police officer who could not stop in time. Sheriff Wood was overcome with emotion when speaking about Deputy Minix. Let's listen.
He was a friend, a father, a son, a brother, but most of all, he was a law enforcement officer first. That's all he ever wanted to do.
And Mr. Minix was a father to 3 girls, and he leaves behind a wife as well. His funeral is set for Monday at Crossroads Church. Of course, our condolences to his loved ones and his community there. Really, our hearts are with the law enforcement community with 3 tough losses within just the last week here in our area. Okay, let's now transition to a look at the forecast. We have First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin, apologize with the slow graphics here. Cutter Martin here with a look at our forecast.
Yeah.
It sounds like we've got some rain coming in.
We do. We have a first alert for widespread rain in the forecast, so it is going to be a bit of a wet go of it tonight into early tomorrow morning. That is just first alert number 1, storm system number 1. And then a secondary, probably even more impactful, a stronger storm system on the way as we get into next week. So again, there is a lot of weather to talk about. We're going to be tracking the latest for you right here on ANF Plus, streaming here for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, just to give you a more full and complete check of the first alert forecast. So I want to remind you, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, we are streaming in a variety of places, including on YouTube right now. Atlanta News First is the account to like and to follow. If you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, Atlanta News First, just type that into the search bar on YouTube and in YouTube, and then of course you'll be routed to our live stream, and there you can ask questions as they come in. Dr. B.L. Reed is commenting. Mary Ann Nolan, thank you so much for being a part of this particular feed. Again, we're here to keep you updated across all platforms. In fact, I'm going to spend just a moment of time opening up some new weather graphics to kind of better tell the story, break down what we have going on, both with the first alert overnight tonight into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. And then that second, probably what is going to be a more impactful storm system, not just for Atlanta, not just for the burbs, not just for North Georgia, but really for much of the Mid-South and the Southeast. A very strong storm system area below pressure will bring a variety of weather impacts to much of the South and Southeast as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week. In fact, could be a fairly substantial severe weather outbreak for portions of the Gulf Coast and maybe the Mid-Atlantic and coastal Georgia and portions of Florida. In the meantime, though, we do have still some weather to talk about, some impactful weather even between now and then. All right, so going to go ahead and flip over to the storm system that we are tracking right now. And again, that is the first alert we have just to our west, moving through portions of the southern plains and the Gulf Coast this morning. In fact, I was speaking with family members just a few moments ago, and they are dealing with a pretty stormy morning across the upper Texas coast. We do have a first alert for widespread rain that is forecast to spread in as we get well past sunset, the last couple hours of this evening on into tomorrow morning. That is going to be when the storm system is going to have its greatest hold on the first alert forecast. So again, first alert for us, but right now that storm system is across the southern plains, widespread rain, even some reports of severe weather, possibly a tornado touchdown just south of the city of Houston this morning. And while we're not concerned about severe weather, we do have a first alert for widespread soaking rain, could occasionally be heavy late tonight into our Saturday morning. In fact, we can roll you now through the hour-by-hour forecast, give you a closer look at how our Friday is forecast to unfold, and the majority of our Friday will be dry. And notice outside right now, we still have plenty of sunshine. It was a cold start to the day with temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s. A frosty start to the day. Had quite a bit of frost on my car this morning coming in before the morning newscast about 2:33 a.m. And I'm sure there was even more frost, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. Though sunshine allowing for a warm-up, so that frost has now melted. Temperatures back in the upper 30s, lower 40s as we slide into the 11 o'clock hour. And do notice how temperatures peak close to 50 this afternoon, though I think we may fail to get there in some communities. Certainly mountain towns, higher elevation spots will be on the cooler side, the chillier side, staying in the 40s all day long, and right up to about 50 in the city of Atlanta. You'll notice more clouds moving in later this afternoon on into this evening. Eventually, clouds giving way to widespread rain in the first alert forecast this evening. Late, though, we're talking 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I introduced that first alert, and midnight. So if you have after-dinner plans, be alert, first alert, to the likelihood that soaking rain will move in and could impact some late-day plans if you are headed out and about this evening, overnight, tonight. Backing it up just a little bit before then, again this afternoon, more clouds than what we have right now. Forecast temperatures upper 40s, lower 50s, the rule. Atlanta 50, Gainesville 48, Athens 52, Rome 52, Newnan 53. The day begins with a lot of sunshine, basically at its sunniest point right now. And then as we get into the mid, especially late afternoon hours, you'll really notice clouds thickening up and then eventually lowering, kind of getting that gray sky as the sun begins to set. And that is when the forecast begins to turn a little bit messy overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Let's start the hour by hour, 4 p.m. Notice clouds increasing, thickest west of the state line, Cleburne and Randolph counties in Alabama clouding over first. 7 p.m. dinner time, we're still dry. Lots of clouds, though. 9 p.m., we're starting to see that rain enter the picture. Cleburne and Randolph County still dry for metro Atlanta, but quickly after that time, we're going to see rain build in. We do have a first alert overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, kicking in about 10 p.m. this evening. And to the 11 o'clock hour, we have that first alert for metro Atlanta with the expectation that rain will move in. And it's not going to be a spotty rain. I mean, it will be quite widespread pretty much right off the bat. A shield of rain, we'll call it, moving in from the west and from the southwest. So just keep that in mind. It's quickly going to go from dry to rainy across North Georgia and metro Atlanta. Again, you can see 10 p.m. first alert. Rain especially noticeable west of I-85. But after 10 p.m., it's into the heart of the city. Eventually, Blue Ridge, Ellijay, Gainesville, Lawrenceville, even down into Macon, Putnam counties, Newton County, Rockdale County, southeast side of town. Even U2 into the widespread steady rain by 11 p.m. Midnight, 2 a.m. Rain spreads into East Georgia. It is widespread and at times heavy. This particular model is not as excited about the potential, but there is a chance that there could be some freezing rain up in the highest of elevations in far north and northeast Georgia late tonight into tomorrow morning. Notice Blue Ridge 39, Clayton 36, Ellijay 41, Gainesville 38. However, and we'll show you the listed counties in just a moment, some models are a little bit colder and there could be some freezing rain. Highest of elevations late tonight into tomorrow morning, generally at or higher than an elevation of about 1,800 to 2,000 feet. So out the door, you're up early on a Saturday, first cup of coffee, first dog walk of the day, maybe trying to get to the store, do things inside, maybe starting that cleaning process early Saturday morning, 6, 7 a.m. Be alert to the fact that there will still be some scattered downpours, mainly north of I-20 by that point. And then as we get into mid-morning, we're going to see some improvement in the forecast. You'll notice by 9 or 10 a.m., we're going to start to pare back that first alert as we get into mid-morning. So by noon, again, we'll pause it at noon. Lots of clouds, but just a sprinkle or two. Still chilly, mid to upper 40s. Southwest of town, more peaks of sun, maybe warmer than 50. Southwest side, LaGrange, Coweta County, Newnan, down into Griffin, Pike County as well, Upson County. But further north, we're going to hang on to the clouds for the rest of the afternoon. You're lucky to see a few peaks of sunshine. good news, Sunday morning again vastly better, though maybe a sprinkle or two with some of those clouds. A flurry or two possible up in the mountains, 7 a.m. Sunday. Chilly, upper 30s and 40s with the breeze. You'll still want the winter coat Sunday morning. As we get into Sunday afternoon, again, we're going to keep the clouds initially, and then I think we're going to see a greater amount of sunshine as we get into Sunday afternoon, early evening before the sun sets. And then we'll see a bit of a break in the active weather as we get into Monday, and then bigger changes as we get into Tuesday. Before we get to that first alert 7-day forecast, though, I want to remind you, county shaded in purple. That includes Gilmer, Fannin, Dawson, Lumpkin, White County, Union County, Towns County, these areas under a winter weather advisory. Freezing rain, that is liquid rain that freezes on contact with the surface, is possible generally above about 2,000 feet between 11 p.m. this evening and 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I think prime time would be about maybe midnight 1 a.m. through 4 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., and then temperatures warming up, rain starting to move out. Not a big issue. I think it's mainly elevated surfaces here, but just in case, be aware it could be a few slick spots, higher elevations in the county shaded and purple there. No risk for Metro Atlanta. And then after that, again, as we get into our Monday, we're going to see better conditions, though windy Monday. Ahead of that next storm system, the winds are already going to start to crank. Again, we'll pull up that first alert 7-day forecast here. Sunday, better than Saturday. Monday, chilly and windy, breezy to windy. And then Tuesday, first alert, widespread rain and storms. We're talking heavy rain, a few embedded strong to severe thunderstorms a possibility, generally south of Metro Atlanta, and it will be windy. So first alert Tuesday, let's break out that Tuesday portion of the forecast, looking like a higher impact first alert. Rain will really stack up here. Rainfall totals Tuesday alone, 2 to 4 inches. That's on top of what we had or are expected to have tonight into Saturday morning. So just keep that in mind. We are not done with rain after Saturday. In fact, Tuesday is more of the impact out of these two first alerts. It will be the stronger storm system, with wind gusts, even outside of any thunderstorms, gusting 35, 45 miles an hour pretty easily. Some forecast models, even away from thunderstorms, having winds gusting up to about 50. So considering that grounds will be relatively saturated and that we have a widespread area of relatively persistent windy, gusty weather, could have a few trees come down. Could be talking about power outages, even outside of true severe weather. Those truly classified, 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater. That's what it'd have to be a severe thunderstorm. But even outside of those areas impacted by technically severe weather, we can still have enough wind, enough rain to cause some issues out there. And in addition to that, there still are a few severe thunderstorms possible, meaning wind gusts 58 miles per hour or greater. Hail not the biggest risk here, but if we get enough warm air pumped into North Georgia, maybe hail up to the size of quarters. That's the classification for severe hail conditions, and again, can't rule out a couple to a few tornadoes, but that risk mainly appearing to remain south and southeast of North Georgia, south and southeast of Metro Atlanta, but something we can't dismiss, so it's worth keeping our eye on here over the next couple of days as we get more confidence in that forecast, as data becomes a little bit clearer with exactly how this is going to play out across North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. I want to go ahead and thank you for tuning in and remind you that First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez back here in just a few minutes. Time now is 10:18. Full forecast streaming at noon on Atlanta News First. You can also watch it pretty much any platform is streaming this particular Anna Plus segment on, and except for YouTube at atlantanewsfirst.com, the Roku app, Amazon Fire, all of those places, great places to catch the forecast, First Alert forecast at noon with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez. And again, new data coming in today. We have our 12Z model data is what we call it, coming in early this afternoon. If there are any adjustments to the forecast, we'll have those live for you, streaming the details starting at 3 p.m. And we'll continue to keep you updated. Reminder, the First Alert weather app is a great tool to have, especially in a time period where the weather is going to be somewhat changeable over the next 3 to 5 days. You can get updates to the forecast hour by hour, current conditions, and more there in the First Alert weather app. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in and for joining ANF Plus. Hope you have a great weekend. Get outside and enjoy it. Sunday, your pick day for the outdoor plans as First Alert. There is rain in the forecast tonight into early Saturday morning.